My name is Sara Rafiee. As I mentioned, Mr. Maghami and I are appearing for and on behalf of United Action for Iran. Given the fact that UAI is not a standalone entity and is a cooperative of approximately 19 Iranian Australian community organisations and approximately 700 individuals, I thought I should make that clear. All views expressed today are my own and not in my professional capacity or my day job. The UAI submission sets out 6 proposed actions that the Australian government could and should take in dealing with the situation in Iran. I will happily address some of those and Mr. Maghami the rest. From the outset, it is important to note what we are not asking for. We're not asking for any military intervention, and we're not asking for broad-based economic sanctions for reasons explained in the submission. By way of a very short background, I'm an Iranian Australian who was born in Iran and migrated here with my family when I was 15. Currently, the internet is restricted and information is disseminated on a piecemeal basis. Despite this, through bravery of Iranians, we are seeing images get out via mobile phone networks where possible and usually days late. These videos come out at a very high price. On 22 September, a young woman was shot by the regime forces when she was recording gunfire crackdown on protesters. The images that come out of Iran show unlawful and unjustified use of firearms, including live ammunition, causing death and serious injuries, including blindness and paralysis. The number of protesters injured in this way is currently unknown due to absence of free press. The regime has imposed pressure and punishment on Iranian doctors simply for providing medical care to injured protesters, including arrest and arbitrary detention. Since 16 September, mass protests are widespread across the country. The rallying cause is summarised in 3 words: women, life, freedom. The regime continues to suppress and violate the human rights of its citizens, especially women and girls, as it has for 43 years. For the past 43 years, systematic abuse has occurred and no one has been spared. Human rights advocates, labour rights activists, LGBTQI+ activists, lawyers, environmentalists, journalists, bloggers, filmmakers, and especially ethnic and religious minorities. The Iranian regime is a gender apartheid regime with women bearing the brunt. There is discrimination in all walks of life, including divorce, custody rights, work, travel, inheritance. Women cannot be appointed as judges of high courts, enter sporting events, leave the country without permission of husband or their father. Even the simple act of riding a bicycle, they are prohibited from under Iranian law. In 2019, an Iranian female set herself on fire as a show of protest after being handed a prison sentence for trying to enter a soccer stadium. There are many, many, many more examples, but plain and simple, what has been happening in Iran over the past 43 years is the very definition of gender apartheid. In seeking to downplay the atrocities of the regime against its own people, it labels peaceful protesters as violent rioters, as if that excuses the extrajudicial killings on the streets of Iran and the denial of the most basic rights to Iranians by the regime. The figures have already been covered by Amnesty earlier today, so I will not repeat them, except to say that approximately 16,000 people have been arrested and are in limbo, not knowing whether they'll get a trumped-up charge that carries the death penalty. The regime regularly engages in acts of terrorism, including through its cyber armies, with Australia a victim, something that has been confirmed by our very own security agencies here in Australia only 2 months ago. So none of this is far from home. We must treat the Iranian regime the same way we treated apartheid South Africa. We need to diplomatically isolate and shame it. Diplomatic action is necessary to fulfil Australia's human rights policy objectives and ensure the safety of Australians by firmly shutting Australia out from serving a safe haven to members and supporters of the Iranian regime, as well as other perpetrators of human rights abuses and atrocities in Iran. Thank you.
Thank you.